Good morning, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Welcome back and nice to have you here. As usual, I have some news to read for you, then to share some videos as usual. So let's get started. So here are the news and the Concerned Citizens Media comments for February 6, 2021. Protest against Abiy Ahmed and his Prosperity Party continues at home and in the diaspora communities. The Oromo Americans in St. Paul, Minnesota, came out in a huge numbers to denounce Abiy Ahmed and his administration's policies, and also to show their support for #Oromo Yellow movement. Their march started from the Oromo American Community Center and headed to the Minnesota Capitol building. The Oromo Liberation Front flag, which is considered as Oromo's flag, has been flown at their community center just below the American flag. On the way to the Capitol building, the protesters were chanting slogans such as Abiy Ahmed is a killer, Abiy must go, no justice in Oromia, no peace in Ethiopia, free Johar Mohammed, free Baqqala Garba, free Hamza Borana, free Abdi Raggasa, free Michael Boran, free all Oromo political prisoners. USA stop supporting the killers in Ethiopia, justice for Hachalu Hundessa, and so on. Oromos, mostly Oromo youths from Ambo, Diredoa, Harar, Dirret Ayara, and other cities also protested the policies of Abiy Ahmed and expressed their solidarity with the Oromo political prisoners. In the same way, these protesters were chanting slogans such as Abiy must go, free all Oromo political prisoners, Johar Mohammed is our hero. The Oromos back home and in the diaspora community vote to continue their resistance against Abiy Ahmed and his Prosperity Party, and until all Oromos are out of Ethiopian prisons and Oromia is free from dictatorship. It is very encouraging to see this Oromo protest here and back home. But all Oromos from Canada, Australia, European countries, African countries, from all corners of Oromia and other areas must come out and join these protesters. Doing this can force Abiy Ahmed and his supporters to release all Oromo prisoners and to sit with other political leaders about the country's future. This is the best time to force Abiy Ahmed and his Prosperity Party supporters to surrender to public demands. The country's financial account is weak. They are in a deep debt with the global loans. COVID-19 impacted its exports. War is happening in Tigray region, Benishangul region, Oromia region, Ethiopia-Sudan border and in other parts of the country. Global pressure against Abiy Ahmed and his party is very high, and the country is facing other unfriendly situations. If Oromos allow these opportunities to pass by, they are making themselves to remain slaves under Abiy Ahmed and his Prosperity Party. That means they are allowing the atrocities and all human rights violations to continue in Oromia region. So concerned citizens media strongly urges all Oromos and their supporters to continue their maximum pressure campaign on Abiy Ahmed and his ruling party in Ethiopia. Do not let this favorable condition to pass by. Abiy Ahmed has been cornered, and do not let him to escape. I see freedom is approaching for Oromos and all freedom lovers in Ethiopia. So that's the comments of concerned citizens. So the opportunities are there. As you follow the news, the country is failing economically, politically, and is very unstable, peace-wise, and the countries, they can't even pay their debt for the IMF or other lenders, and global maximum pressure is continue about the war in Tigray, about the Eritrean soldiers in Tigray, and calling the government to sit down with other opposition politicians. So the conditions are favorable. So Oromos all over the world and at home, this is the best time to put maximum pressure on Abiy Ahmed and his Prosperity Party so they can surrender and fulfill your demand. So don't pass this opportunity. Use this opportunity. Come out in a big number, especially in Adama, big cities, and Finfinne, Tredoa, and Shashamane, and other cities. This is the best time to use it. Abiy is full of trouble from all corners. So if you let it pass, he will consolidate his power if this time is over. If Oromos don't use this time, it's gonna be very bad in the long run. So use this time, put maximum pressure before the election, and that will help us to force the government to release the political prisoners. And as you may know, Johar Mohammed, Bakala Garba, Hamza Borana, and others, on hunger strike for Oromo's freedom, and they are, almost dying. They haven't eaten for 9 days, so they need our help. They need our help to put maximum pressure on this government to increase the awareness to the global community to put more and more pressure on Abiy Ahmed to release these people. So that's the first news, and let's continue. Ethio-Sudan tension continue. Sudan Defense Force claim conducting counter attacks against the Ethiopian Defense Force and the militia at the place called Fashaga al-Sorga in Baraka, Noren. The Sudanese army reported taking control of Kombo Melkamu from Ethiopian forces in this military clash. Sudan also reported the death of one of its soldiers, and the injury of 4. The Ethiopian army and the civilian authority remain silent on this Sudanese claim. Ethiopia also rejected the third-party mediation offer for this very serious border tension, and the Sudanese move deep into Ethiopia's territory. So just like the Tigrayan region war, Ethiopia rejected mediation, third-party mediation, to resolve this issue. Sudan also repeats its claim that Abiy Ahmed invited her to take back all Sudanese territories during their conversation with the Prime Minister in Addis Ababa. This claim has never been verified by independent sources. So Sudan is still keep claiming Abiy gave her permission to take back all its claims. So this is very serious claim, and I don't know if the conversation is recorded. It should be investigated and see it. I don't know if it's recorded. If it's in America, maybe it's recorded, but I don't know. Mr. Lidetu Ayalew, former chairman of Ethiopian Democratic Party, or EDP, denied exit visa at Bole International Airport. Ethiopian aviation security officials demanded Mr. Lidetu Ayalew to bring or to have a court approval letter to leave the country. He was heading to the United States for medical treatment appointment. Mr. Lidetu said that he has no knowledge of any restriction placed on his domestic or international movement. So they forced him to return from Bole International Airport because they don't want him to leave for some reason. U.S. disappointed by United Nations Court decision on Iran case, the State Department. The United States is disappointed by the International Court of Justice, ICJ, ruling on Wednesday, rejecting the American argument that a case brought forth by Iran is outside the jurisdiction of the court, said State Department spokesman Ned Price. The ruling by the International Court of Justice, the top court for the United Nations, will allow a case brought by the Islamic Republic of Iran against the United States to proceed. The case alleged the United States sanction policy against Iran violates a 1955 treaty between the two countries. We have a great respect for the International Court of Justice. At the same time, we are disappointed that the court didn't accept our well-founded legal argument that the case Iran brought is outside the court's jurisdiction, and the court should not hear it, Price said during a briefing with reporters at State Department. The ICJ, in a statement Wednesday, said the majority of the court panel rejected the arguments made by the United States to dismiss Iran's claims as outside the court's jurisdiction. The court further rejected the United States' request to dismiss Iran's claim made on the basis of 1955 Treaty of Amity, economic relations, and consular rights. Iran used this treaty as a base to file a case with the International Court of Justice in 2018 in response to former President Trump's decision to withdraw from the international nuclear deal called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and reimpose sanctions on Iran. This is a huge temporary victory for Iran against the United States, but it doesn't mean the case is over. So America argued for dismissal of the case, but the court denied that request, and they want to hear the case. So that's a victory for Iran. This is a temporary victory, but we don't know. But Mr. Trump, he was in a business for the last 4 years to, whatever Obama did to abolish any treaties and anything Obama did, he just rolled them back. But now we have a new administration try to fix all those problems, but this is a disappointment for Biden. The court accepted, so we will see in the future what will be the decision. What will be the decision in this case? The thing is about sanctions, American sanctions on Iran, and it's not Iran's fault. It's Trump's fault to withdraw from that agreement and putting back the pressure on Iran. So we'll follow that case and we'll report back. This one is another good sign, another advantage of face mask. So face mask showed another major health benefit in addition to protecting us from COVID-19. It worked well against influenza transmission in the United Kingdom. Influenza record is down 95% than from the one reported in previous year. This story is just developing. So face masks' effect against influenza is not yet studied and reported in the United States. So in Britain, it is discovered that face mask reduced the influenza transmission in addition to protecting COVID-19 transmission. So that's a good news. The United States House of Representatives removed Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene from committee assignment. She was removed from the Education, Labor, and Budget committees by the votes of 230 to 199, and 11 Republicans joined Democrats in her removal vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a strong supporter of former President Donald Trump's lies, Stop Steal campaign. If you remember, she used a face mask with words, with a phrase written "Stop Steal" in support of Biden claims, and she's in support of fraud claims and other conspiracies. She also conspired about 9/11 attack and school shootings in the past even though she corrected herself before the vote was taken against her on Thursday. She corrected herself. She said, you know, 9/11 happened and the school shootings happened. It's not staged. Before she said, she conspired, said it never happened. You know, 9/11 never happened. But on Thursday before the vote, she said, yes, 9/11 happened. And she also posted on her Facebook her photo holding machine gun RI-15 with the phrase "Squad's Nightmare," showing with the photos of Representative Ian Umar of Minnesota, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, and Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. So she got a, you know, RI-15 holding, and the, you know, with the three ladies. I just named them. I just called them, and that's a threat. You know, the squad's nightmare. You know, with a gun. She's having the gun. That means she might intend. She might intend to shoot them, or I don't know what that means. This Facebook post shows how far she has gone to put the lives of her colleagues in extremely dangerous situation. It is a pure criminal act against the public representative. You know, she is in the wrong situation. You know, that's, you know, she I know she represents the Georgians, but she is, you know, exposing others representative who are also, you know, elected by people to serve. So that's a very, very serious threat for their lives, and a very dangerous move. And for, you know, they removed her from committees, which is good. She should be punished. You know, that's serious, life-threatening. You know, showing guns to colleagues. You know, and saying the nightmare of the squad's nightmare. This is very serious picture in her photo on a Facebook account. So that's the enough about the reading part, and I will share some videos with you. The first one is, I think, the first one is this is it's about 20 minutes, but I'll share a little bit. You might already saw this video. This is about protesters in Minnesota, and then I'll go to the other videos. There you go. Just a little bit. Let's watch a little bit. Advertisement. Okay, let's do advertisement.
daawwattoota kan jalatamoo fi kabajamoo bakkii du'aatti argamnu kunini waldaa hawaasa Oromoo kan Minisoota magaalaa Seempoolitti argamu har'a hiriira tasii gaggeeffamaa jira. Hiriirtonni kunini bulchiinsa Abiy Ahmed balaaleffachuun hidhamtoonni siyaasaa akka gadhiifamanii gaafachaa jiran dhaadannoo adda addaatu bakka kanarraa mul'ata. Firii Baqqalee Garbaa, Firii Jawaar Mohammadi, we all are political prisoners. Jawaar Mohammadi gadhiisa, Baqqalaa Garbaa gadhiisa. Nuun hunduu hidhamtoota siyaasaati, haqa Hacaaluu Hundeessaatii fi warri Abdii Raggaasaa eessa jira ka jedhu Abiy Ahmed yakkama ajjeesadha. Abiy Ahmed itti gaafatamuuti waraanni Tigraay irratti gaggeeffamuu fi Oromoo bakka adda gaggeeffamaa dhaabbatutti gargaarsi namummaa bakka adda addaattuu barbaachisu haadha qabuuti. Dhaadannoo gosa akka dhageessan naftanya jalatti hin bulu naftanyaan nuun bulchitu. Oromoon dhiiga keenya Oromoo jabaadhaa qeerroteen jabaadhaa ka jedhu dhaamsa biraa dhaadannoon nama mul'achaa jirani. Lakkoofsi namaa dabalaa dhufaa lakkoofsi namoota dabalaa dhufaa jira. Daawwattoota kan jaalatamoo fi kabajamoo hiriirri kun akka itti fufuu jiru Abiyyi gadhiisuu qaba aangoo Abiyyi must go jechaa jirani. Abiyyi must go jedhanii mallattoo harkaa wal qaxxaamuruu kayi qeerroo daawwattoota kan jaalatamoo fi kabajamoo bakkii irra dabarsaa jirru kun magaalaa gudditti Minisoota Seempool waldaa hawaasaa Oromoo irraa gara bulchiinsa Minisoota Capital Hill miilaan dhaqaa jirra. Hiriirtonni kun Abiy Ahmed balaaleffachuu fi hidhamtoota siyaasaa kaa'ammaan lagannaa nyaataa irra jiranii fi sagalee ta'uu fi haaldura tokko malee mootummaan kun akka gadhiisuu fi mootummaan kun waraana Oromiyaa irratti banee akka dhaabu gaafachuu fi hiriira kan gaggeessaa akka jirani.
Every football fan knows Team State Farm. You got Rodgers. You got Mahomes.
Antana qorra kan keessa cabbii kan keessa hiriira kan gaggeessaa jirani. Poolisoonni Ameerikaa akkasittuu karaa cufanii hiriirri nagaa akka gaggeeffamu godhaa jirani. Karaa cufanii jirani. Poolisiin tokko asiin karaa cufa jira. Poolisiin bira karaa achiin cufa jira. Poolisiin sadaffaan akka cufa jira. Poolisiin Ameerikaa akkasitti nama heddi. Poolisiin Abiy Ahmed nam fixxii nama jeesti. Poolisiin Abiy Ahmed kalaashii malee ajjeecha malee waa takka dimokiraasii waan jedhaman galuufi. Mootummaan Itoophiyaa hidhamtoota siyaasaa gadhiisuu qaba. Hidhamtoota siyaasaa gadhiisaa. Hooggantoota keenya gadhiisaa. Abdii Raggaasaa gadhiisa. Hordofaa gadhiisa, hidhamtoota siyaasaa gadhiisa, haqa Hacaaluu Hundeessaa fi Jawaar Mohammad hoggana kenna. Itoophiyaan haqa hin qabdu, Oromiyaan haqa hin qabdu. Yoo Oromiyaan haqa hin qabaanne Itoophiyaan nagaan horattu.
Okay, that's enough. Okay, that's enough for Oromo protests, Oromo American protesters in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is very encouraging. It should be extended everywhere, every corner of the globe. The group we have in power today cannot be easily broken down. These are tough guys, brutal guys. They don't believe in global pressure. They think they can lie forever. They can cheat the global community forever, and they think they can live with military force, federal police, and undercover security forever. But their time is coming short. So many indications. The country, as I said, economically broken. They cannot even able to pay the salaries of these soldiers and federal workers. Very soon they will be bankrupt. So Oromos in the diaspora community and back home, they have to keep the maximum pressure to remove these guys from power. I think the time is right when the Abiy Ahmed is squeezed into corner. This is the best time to put maximum pressure on him and his Prosperity Party, so that they can surrender to public demand. So as I said, don't lose these opportunities. We don't have to lose these opportunities. Do whatever we can to bring peace, stability, democracy, freedom in that country. So this is the best time. Okay, let's continue other videos. Okay, let's see. Okay, these are very short videos. Let's start.
These past few months haven't been easy, but they've reminded us there's no place like home.
Tired of these advertisements.
Home has new meaning. Home means everything.
Come on.
From a launch site in Iran's central desert, a successful liftoff for a rocket that Tehran describes as its most powerful yet. State television, which broadcast the launch, reported the Zuliana reached a height of 500 kilometers.
That's Iran
It said the
testing,
three-stage rocket can
sending
carry a
the
satellite
satellite.
weighing 220 kilograms, or up to 10 smaller ones. Iran often coordinates such tests with national holidays. This month it'll celebrate the 42nd anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. But the launch may also be a show of strength ahead of potential negotiations on a nuclear deal.
I think that could very well be the intended timing for Tehran to show the United States that its work continues on missiles, just as the nuclear issue continues to be, an increasing crisis.
The launch comes less than a year after Tehran put its first military satellite into orbit. That stoked tension with the US, which has warned that Tehran is using its space program as a cover for missile development.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
US President Joe Biden wants a return to the 2015 nuclear deal abandoned by Donald Trump, which saw Iran restrict its nuclear program in return for sanctions relief. The US Secretary of State is warning they don't have much time for negotiations.
It's a problem that could get more acute because if Iran continues to lift some of these restraints imposed by the agreement, that could get down to a matter of weeks. The bottom line is they are getting closer to the point where they would be either a threshold nuclear power or actually a nuclear power.
Tehran says the Zuliana will carry out scientific research. Its launch is a reminder to the new US administration that despite economic and diplomatic isolation, Iran is one of only a dozen countries in the world with its own rocket technology capable of putting satellites into space. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
Listen, I know you're having a hard time filling up your books. I need you to give me 5 minutes of your time to show you a new system called Patience on Demand that's changed my practice.
It appears a game of who acts first, and right now, neither the US or Iran are making a move. The US has rejected an offer by Iran for it to synchronize a return to the 2015 nuclear deal with the European Union, with Iran fulfilling its commitments. That could have allowed both parties to save face internationally and at home. But the US says it's not ready to rejoin.
Of course, we are a long way from that. Iran has distanced itself from compliance on a number of fronts, and there are many steps in that process. I mentioned a couple of them, consulting with our allies, consulting with our partners, consulting with Congress before we're reaching the point where we're going to engage directly with the Iranians and willing to entertain any sort of proposal.
The Iran deal was one of the worst.
Iran began to reduce its commitments to the deal after former US President Donald Trump pulled out and imposed sanctions on the country. The US sees Iran's moves as a way of breaching the deal, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, a view not shared by Iran. President Hassan Rouhani says his country is waiting on the US to right the wrongs of the Trump era.
Americans must return to the resolution, to international law, and a resolution that was passed unanimously by the UN Security Council. If we see goodwill gesture, we will show it too. If we see action, we'll show it as well. If we see commitment, our response will be full commitment.
In recent days, Iran has increased the number of advanced centrifuges at its main nuclear plant. It allows the country to enrich uranium quicker and to a higher degree, something that concerns Western powers. The EU is stuck in the middle, urging both to talk but with little power to make that happen. For now, nothing has changed. President Joe Biden's administration has not lifted sanctions imposed under Trump, and there's still considerable mistrust between the two countries. Asad Beg, Al Jazeera.
This is a briefing on Myanmar.
Good afternoon. I'd like to read the following Security Council press statement on Myanmar in my role as President of the Security Council. The members of the Security Council express deep concern at the declaration of a state of emergency imposed in Myanmar by the military on the 1st of February and the arbitrary detention of members of the government, including State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint and others. They called for the immediate release of all those detained. The members of the Security Council emphasised the need for the continued support of the democratic transition in Myanmar. They stressed the need to uphold democratic institutions and processes, refrain from violence, and fully respect human rights, fundamental freedoms, and the rule of law. They encouraged the pursuance of dialogue and reconciliation in accordance with the will and interests of the people of Myanmar. The members of the Security Council expressed concern at the restrictions on civil society, journalists, and media workers. They also called for safe and unimpeded humanitarian access to all people in need, including through the re-establishment of UN relief flights. The members of the Security Council reiterated their strong support to regional organisations, in particular the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and welcomed the ASEAN Chair's statement dated the 1st of February 2021. They also reiterated their support to the Special Envoy of the Secretary-General on Myanmar for good offices. The members of the Security Council reiterated the need to address the root causes of the crisis in Rakhine State and to create conditions necessary for the safe, voluntary, sustainable and dignified return of displaced persons. The members of the Security Council reaffirmed their strong commitment to the sovereignty, political independence, territorial integrity and unity of Myanmar. Thank you.
Strong words there. What does the UK think should be the next action?
She don't want to deal with questions.
What I had was a job. Well, several jobs, really. But what I really wanted was a career.
I'm tired of this.
U.S. President Joe Biden delivered his first foreign policy speech at the State Department and made news. On the long-running war in Yemen, where Saudi and Emirati forces have allegedly targeted civilians with U.S.-made weapons.
This war has to end. And to underscore our commitment, we're ending all American support for offensive operations in the war in Yemen, including relevant arms sales.
On the weekend coup in Myanmar,
The Burmese military should relinquish power they have seized, release the advocates and activists and officials they have detained, lift the restrictions on telecommunications, and refrain from violence.
And on Russia's imprisonment of the political activist Alexei Navalny.
He should be released immediately and without condition.
Biden's speech, which also touched on China and on reversing the Trump administration's dismantling of U.S. refugee policy, was short but specific, a reflection of the years he spent leading the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. A former U.S. diplomat says he supports Biden's action on Yemen.
The U.S. contributed considerably to that war. Now the U.S. is saying, I will no longer contribute to this war. I will not fuel it with weapons shipments from here. I would like you all, the big powers and the regional powers, to do the same. And that is something new.
The other part of Biden's foreign policy agenda, repairing an agency that lost hundreds of experienced employees and suffered considerable budget cuts during the previous administration. Morale had crashed, especially during the tenure of former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, whom many diplomats believed used the agency to boost his political ambitions. In a separate speech to state employees, Biden said things will be different.
America is back. Diplomacy is back. You are the center of all that I intend to do. You are the heart of it. We're going to rebuild our alliances. We're going to re-engage the world and take on the enormous challenge we face.
The new administration's promise to try to restore the U.S.'s reputation, both at home and around the world. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Okay, thank you, Al Jazeera, for a couple of videos, and also Yoya Media for the first video on the Oromo protest in Minnesota. So it's really challenge some of the challenge Biden might face. One is Iran, in the Iran nuclear deal. Iran don't want to give up on the nuclear technology. So that is one of the challenges he faces. And we have to appreciate Biden on so many fronts. One is the refugee issues. He also talking about increasing to bring more people. Like, you know, Trump reduced it by a lot, but Biden now is talking about 125,000. You know, giving opportunity for this much, for this amount refugees to, you know, settle in the United States. And he facilitated a lot of things, as I reported before, you know, by executive orders, by removing the Muslim ban and other restrictions. So far he is doing much good stuff for Americans and for the global community. And the Myanmar the challenge is China. China with a veto power, she play a very important role against putting, you know, like restriction or very big penalty for Myanmar with a veto power. Is also China is a challenge in case of Ethiopia too. It happened before in the closed door. China refused to even criticize Ethiopia on the war in Tigray. So we have challenge from China for some reason. Unless China changed its stand on Burma or Ethiopia, it's very hard to deal with in the United Nations. So there are some, calculation for this, especially for 5 veto holding countries: United States, France, British, Russia, China. This, they just follow their best interest. So China is also using that veto power to protect Burma or Myanmar, and in some extent to protect Ethiopia. So there are some challenges, and we will see. So that will be enough. That is enough for today. And Johar Muhammad, Bakkala Garba, Hamza Borana, and others almost on hunger strike for the last 9 days. I think the situation is extremely serious. I don't know how they survive those 9 days. Let's pray for them, for their well-being. Very tough, very tough. Religious leaders, elders were sent to prison to advise them to stop the hunger strike. They refused. They're determined to continue. So this is the 9th or 10th day. I think they should be advised again. The elders, their lawyers, they should advise them to stop. Their survival is much better than their dying. If they survive, they can lead the revolution. They can lead the revolution, the Oromo revolution, for success. So they have to save their lives, and let's pray for their well-being. They are in extremely dangerous situation, extremely dangerous condition. So let's pray for them, and continue Oromo's struggle against Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party. Keep the fight going on until Oromia is free from atrocities and inhumane treatments on Oromos. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with friends and family. Thank you for taking the time and sharing with me. I will be back with other news and videos. Keep going with the resistance sign until the freedom is achieved in Oromia, until all Oromos are free from killing, torture, arrests, and other inhumane treatments and other human rights violations. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible, really. They cannot build Ethiopia without Oromo's bloodshed. That's why I can see it now. They want to save Ethiopia by spilling Oromo's blood, not by saving Oromo's blood. I don't know what kind of Ethiopia they're going to build without Oromos. So they're talking about building Ethiopia, and with a continuation of Oromos bleeding, Oromos atrocities on their own land. So that path is unacceptable. It will not be successful. Ethiopia can be built with consensus, cooperation, understanding each other, talking to each other, dialogue, reconciliation, respecting each other. If these things are not there, the future of Ethiopia is dark. Let's keep the fighting going on. Let's the freedom ring in the mountains of Oromia. And thank you again. I appreciate your time. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and comment on my videos. See you next time. So long, everyone.